All right, folks, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered by the No Fallen Heroes Project. Special guest in the studio, man, another naval aviator, and I'm an equal opportunity guy because I even let Tomcat guys on this podcast. So welcome aboard, Chris Provan, call sign Kid. How you doing, my brother?
Good afternoon. Hey, a Tomcat guy, classing the place up.
Yeah, exactly. Lowering the average here, man.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, you know, whenever I bring a fellow aviator on the podcast, we've got to do the whole call sign thing, right? So give us an executive summary of your naval career, how you got Kid, and what you did after you got out of the Nav.
Okay. Well, I joined the Navy in 1987, went to Pensacola, the good old 14-week wonders, went over there.
Yeah. An officer and a gentleman, right? So the whole Lou Gossett.
At least officer. But
exactly.
So I went through a very special program back in the late 80s, early 90s called the NAVCAT program, Naval Aviation Cadet. It was an old program that was resurrected back from the World War II days, and it was in response to Reagan's buildup. So they needed a whole bunch of pilots. And so essentially what it was is if you had at least a 2-year college degree or at least 2 years of college, you could apply to the program. You'd go through AOCS like everybody else. But at the end of AOCS, you didn't get commissioned. You got this nebulous NAVCAT rank. You went to flight school, and on the day that you graduated flight school, you walk up, you turn one way, you get your ensign bars, you turn the other way, you get your wings.
Wow.
So I was very, very young.
That was a cool program, man. My buddy Sean Rackley, Rax. I knew Kevin McLaughlin, Proton. A lot of good NAVCATs.
Well, part of it, too, was it was very cheap for the Navy because we couldn't be married the whole time. We had to live on base.
That was a requirement? They said you
couldn't be married. Okay. You had to live on base. We almost marched to chow every day in flight school. I mean, not quite that bad, but it was pretty close. But I came through very, very young. So when I got to the Tomcat, a replacement squadron, VF-124 out in San Diego, of course, we're going through all the call signs. And my last name, okay, they didn't really, nothing to go there. So one of the instructors, call sign Maverick,
no.
He got his call sign because he was the first pilot student to walk through the doors after the movie.
After the movie, yeah.
And so the first pilot in NFL got Maverick and Goose.
And Goose, yeah.
He parlayed that. He was legendary.
Just ask him.
He gets looking at me, and I look kind of young anyway, and he's like, "How old are you?" I just turned 22. Oh my God! And I'm already in the fleet.
You're in the rag at 22.
Yeah, I went through flight school underage.
Oh my God!
Yeah. And
you have to be at least this old to ride this Tomcat.
Exactly. And so he goes, "Wait a minute." And so he disappears for like an hour, comes back, and he goes, "You're the youngest F-14 pilot in the Navy."
He looked it up.
Okay. Both coasts, Oceana, Virginia, and San Diego. And he goes, "Oh, you're a kid.
You're just a kid.
You're a kid. You know
love
what?
it.
You're a kid." And here I am. 100 years later, kids.
Tell us about how many deployments you flew with, or you know our chief medical officer, right, Rosie, and then Slider. Right. Tell us about your career in the Nav.
So after flight school, I went on to the fleet. My first squadron was VF-21 in Japan, and then I did 3 full fleet deployments. Oof. So just a little over 2,000 hours in the airplane. Wow! And then about another 1,000 hours doing. Between student and flight instructor. And so, I knew Rosie was in my second squadron. Yeah. I flew with her. Slider was in my last squadron. I flew with them. Wow. So, I've flown with all this. So it's like, I'm starting looking at all these people like, my past is coming back. No stories, guys. No stories.
Exactly. So, well, we can clean those up. Yeah. All right. So very successful career in the Nav. Yep. And then along the way, you got hit with something. Sounds like you got kicked in the gut a little bit.
I did.
But you're here. So it's a happy ending.
I'm here, and I'm going to spread the word. Yeah. In a couple of things. It's going to be a good podcast. Yeah. So the first thing in 2016, I didn't go commercial airlines afterwards. My timing, me and the airlines never saw eye to eye. I tried to go to the airlines 4 times since I got out of the Navy.
There's a reason then.
And the last time, as I submitted all my applications March of 20.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
What happened next?
COVID.
Yeah.
And so I finally looked up this guy. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah. Not my path. Yeah. But in 2016, I decided I was going to try one more time, and so I was going for a flight physical. And my AME, the Aviation Medical Examiner, who issues flight certificates, if you had any kind of underlying other issues, I had a couple of minor things, just being in my late 40s.
Yeah.
So he had me go to my primary care, get a clean bill of health, and then move on. And then he'd come to him, and then he'd do the paperwork, and he'd get your medical certificate. And I was going for a first-class medical, which is what you need for commercial flying.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I'm in my physical with my primary care provider, he's looking at all the things. Okay, let's get to testosterone and A1C and cholesterol. He goes, have you ever had a PSA check? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, a PSA,
exactly,
which is, he goes, prostate, which is, I'm like, I think I've got one.
Let me pull out this chart.
I don't know where it is or what it does, but sure. He goes, and, give a shout out to my doctor, Dr. Moshe out in Oviedo, Florida. He goes, well, I've got a family history of it. Mm-hmm. And so all my patients, when they get close to age 50, let's get a baseline, see where you're at.
Okay.
It's a little young for today's standards and blah, 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 which, as it will turn out, I'll talk about later, is not too young. Mm-hmm. So I said, sure, I'll go get it. It's just a blood test. Get a blood test. They'll give you a number, and then I'll know what it is for the future. And if it gets higher, then we'll do something about it. Mm-hmm. Came back very high.
Wow.
And I was only 49. And so he's like, yeah, okay, you're going to go see my urologist. So over the period of the next 12 months, I saw multiple urologists, did blood tests, did an MRI. I had a biopsy, which is not a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I had that biopsy genetically screened and blah, blah. Upshot is, at the end of 12 months, because of the aggressiveness of it, I decided to have the surgery. Mm-hmm. And so I had a radical prostatectomy with the Da Vinci machine.
Wow.
Which is, they go in there with all these probes. Looks like something out of Star Wars. Fantastic doctor in Celebration, Florida. He's done probably close to 20,000 of these now, 6 a day.
So what was the DR, the decision range? Did they say you have cancer? Did they say you're in the window? What made you? The
PSA test in itself, it's just now kind of coming back into favor again. It's not a very, very accurate test. If it's high, it doesn't necessarily mean cancer. It just means, I look at it as like a check engine light. Something's wrong.
Master caution.
It's coming on. Go take a look. Could be something simple. Could be something not.
Okay.
The biopsies came back, and it was positively determined that I had cancer.
Okay.
The biopsy at the end of 12 months, I did what they call active surveillance for a year, mm-hmm. which means I just kept doing the blood test, making sure there's no radical changes. Mm-hmm. At the end of the second year, I had a second spot, and the first spot had gotten more aggressive. And he said, for 49, that is a lot of change.
Okay.
The other deciding factor was, because of the fact it was still contained, surgery, if you have successful surgery, in over 90% of the cases, you're done.
Gets that. Okay.
It's a one and done. Hopefully never have to deal with it again. Mm-hmm. I still monitor it yearly just to make sure that it's not going to reoccur.
Sure.
But once it's metastasized, you're off to the races.
Now you're in a fight.
Right. Now you're going to be dealing with that right now for the rest of your life. And we've got great treatments, but it's not a one and done.
Earlier is better.
Much earlier is better. And the big thing, just to segue so that I don't forget to say this, there are almost zero symptoms for early stage prostate cancer.
It's just it's just going to appear on a test.
The only way you're going to know is through an elevated PSA.
You're not going to feel like shit. You're not going to something.
I always say that it's not the prostate cancer that kills you. It's where it goes. And most people don't realize they have prostate cancer. If they wait till symptoms, your symptoms are going to be
oh my God, man. Yeah.
And prostate cancer likes to go to the bone, and it likes to go to the bladder. And that's where mine was heading.
Jesus.
At the end of that surgery, a week later, I met with the surgeon again, and he goes, well, you're very lucky. You are 6 months from metastatic cancer. I was stage 3.
Oh, my God.
6 months to metastatic cancer, and it was heading to the bladder.
Oof.
And so I had great margins. They took everything down there, and because of the robotic surgery and the skill of the surgeon, I had 100% recovery.
Oh my God, man!
So that's another thing with the prostate is, it sits below the bladder, and it on top of the prostate is basically sheets of nerves, and those nerves control all the fun stuff down there. Mm-hmm. And in the past, when they went and took that out, those nerves are so damaged that you'd have incontinence, you'd have ED.
Oh my God,
for the rest of your life. Now with these new surgeries and some of the new procedures, there's actually even better surgeries out now.
Wow.
that it preserves those nerves. It takes some time to recover, like anything.
Surgery.
You look at a nerve the wrong way, and it's going to take 6 months to recovery. So it takes a while. But if you follow all the instructions, do all the post-surgical procedures, you're going to have a good recovery. And so that's what.
Holy shit, man!
What we do.
God takes care of fools, drunks, and sailors. So bases loaded for Kid. So.
And it was just, I had no idea of any of it.
Yeah.
And for example, in my day job, very often, when you go after meetings, you go out to the clubs and bars and stuff.
Sure.
I have a standing bet. I'll buy anybody a drink and can tell me their PSA. And to this day, I've
nobody.
Not bought.
Yeah.
And I'm guys, you're in the target range here.
Yeah. I get mine checked, man. I get mine checked every 6 months. I get mine through my doctor. He checks my PSA with all the other stuff, testosterone and stuff like that. So I'm good. So you made it through to the other side, cancer-free. Everything's good to go. Talk to us about how what you're doing now with the VCPA, my brother Bing, and all that stuff, and how you guys are saving and changing lives and putting up the bat signal on this issue.
Absolutely. So for about, I would say 6 months to a year after I got that surgery, because of the sexual nature of prostate, I wasn't spring-loaded to talk to people about it.
Sure.
Because if they know anything and they look it up, like, oh, well, this is happening and this is happening. Exactly. It's like, well, okay. But after a while, I got thinking about it, and I'm like, I had a doctor who was conscientious and possibly saved me a lot of trouble and probably saved my life. And so maybe this is a sign that I need to go do the same thing too. I've always been about service.
Put the ladder down.
I've been service to this country since I was 20 years old, so I'll continue that in this fashion. So through a couple of organizations I reached out to, I got a hold of Bing, and he was running an organization that we call Veterans Prostate Cancer Awareness. And it's a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and everybody that's involved in it, it's a fairly small crew now, but we're rapidly expanding.
You're growing, yeah.
We're all veterans, and we're all prostate cancer survivors, every one of us.
That's awesome.
And so the mission, we're the only veteran advocacy organization right now in this space. And we are tied in very closely with the VA, and we're tied in very closely with some of the big pharma groups that are providing these treatments. Yep. And our mission, we'll assist any veteran through any stage of the disease. But our overarching mission is we want to catch you early.
Yeah.
If you can put us out of business, that'd be great. If we could catch everybody early and get you cured, and we don't have to help you with late stage, I'll retire happy.
Yeah.
But we assist in getting the word out, and a lot of our programs that we sponsor are just about that, getting the word out. Get your PSA checked. It's real simple. It's a blood test.
Yeah.
But if you do have cancer, then what we want to do is we're going to help you navigate the treatment options. We're going to help you navigate the VA. And we're going to help you navigate outside, because a lot of times the VA works very closely with communities. And there's a lot of treatments out there, and some are appropriate for you, some are not. We are plugged into some of the top urologists. I go to conventions, and I'm talking to urologists that literally wrote the book on prostate cancer.
So you guys, VPCA has the lessons learned binder. Right. You all got the gouge. So if you're a veteran, the typical veteran, we're going to blaze our own path. Don't do that, man. That hurts. Right. Stop hitting yourself.
And guys, we're stubborn. Women are very smart. Every year they go for the well woman exam.
Correct.
We don't have a well man exam.
Yeah.
We wait till something hurts.
Correct.
And I'm like, do you wait for the smoke to come out of the hood before you service your car? No. You take care of your car better than take care of you. Yeah. So one of our programs is we actually came out with a men's health checklist. And it's just a little laminated card. Yeah. You look at your age group, and here's all the things you should be talking to your doctor about.
Nice little flow chart.
And we have that on our website. You can download it and take it with you.
Now, let's talk about the risk groups. Why, as aviators or folks especially aviators, aircrew, or people running around on the flight deck or the flight line, are we more inclined? I mean, how many times do we sit, you're sitting on the flight deck, you start it up, and every 30 seconds you hear like, wee.
Yep.
And it's over your headset. You're like, that can't be healthy. We just lived, and you guys sat 2 feet behind one of the most powerful transmitters on the planet. So
10,000 watts.
10,000 watts. Yep. So does that maybe have anything to do with veterans having a higher incidence of cancer?
Well, anecdotally, you'd say yes. I mean, if you've been on,
I ain't no rocket surgeon, but yes.
You've been on aircraft carriers. My first ship was the Independence, an old Forrestal class.
Did you have to take turns rowing?
You didn't smoke in the showers because I have probably bathed and drank more JP5 than burned out the back end of the airplane.
Exactly.
And so, up till now, we're always like, we've got to have bigger, higher rates of cancer, all that stuff out there. But you could never point to a number.
Yeah.
Well, this year, January of 23, the DOD came out with a study, and what they've done is they have positively identified that veterans across the board have much higher rates of cancer.
Yep.
So this study that just came out took 900,000 aviators and ground maintenance crews from 1992 to 2016. They looked at their records.
That's not even close to being a small sample size. That's almost everybody. That's a massive...
156,000 aircrew and 737 ground crew.
Wow.
And what they came up with was startling. So if you look at the general population and compare the numbers, 87% higher rates of melanoma.
Jesus.
39% higher rates of thyroid cancer, 16% higher rates of prostate, and then just across the board, this group had 24% higher cancer rate than the general population. So
those numbers, that's not a fluke. That's insane. It's
numbers.
Fact.
That's fact. These are numbers. That
my God!
This is a DOD study that came out this year
in January. Yeah,
January.
Yeah. Yep.
And now what this did was, because these numbers are higher, it initiated phase 2. And phase 2 is they're going to go back and look and go, why?
Why? Okay.
Well, VPCA, we're going to beat them to the punch. And so what
we might know why. We might have an idea.
No. So we're doing a little bit of a smaller study, but what we're doing is we're taking 1,000 aviators that had prostate cancer, and aviators across all services, across all platforms, even enlisted aircrew. If you're in the airplane,
aviators, Wizzos, NFOs,
aircrew in the back, whatever.
You wear something green as a flight suit.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're doing is called the military aviator study. And what we're doing is we're taking 1,000 of them, and we are requesting from them, all we need to do is you need a blood test and a survey from you. If you've had cancer and you've had a biopsy, we'll go to where you had the biopsy and we'll get that sample.
We'll get it. Okay.
We already have a company on contract. They're going to take it and they're going to do a somatic genome study. And they're going to take apart that study gene by gene, your sample, gene by gene. And when they get all that data, then we have a partnership with Harvard Medical, Baylor, Dana-Farber Cancer, Broad Cancer Group, a whole bunch of some of the top minds in the country are going to look at this data, and we're going to say, we're seeing causal factors here. They can tell the way your gene is damaged, what caused it. Is it ionization?
Yeah.
Ionization like from the sun. Is it non-ionization, radar? Is it pharmacological? Is it
drinking Jet A?
Is it drinking Jet A fuel? Is it biochemical, adrenaline? What's causing
that? Wow. Great point.
Yep. And so based on those results, now we can go back to industry and go, okay, look, guys, having a 10,000 watt radar with all this is not healthy.
Correct.
What we found out recently, flight suits do not have UV protection. They're great for flame retardant, but there's no UV protection.
UV, yeah, wow.
And so, I have a little piece of fabric in my wallet that keeps you from scanning my card if I walk by you. Why can't we put that in a flight suit? Put that in my helmet so that, we're at 30,000 feet, you're a lot closer.
Well, bro, I mean, I'm just a political science major, but the Prowlers in our air wing had gold canopies, didn't they? I mean, somebody might have said, maybe we should protect at least the Prowler guys. And everybody else, you're good. Wow.
Well, the old joke was, if you're a Prowler guy, you go, so how many daughters do you have?
Exactly.
Because they never had sons. They all had daughters.
Yeah, something to be said there. So first of all, that's startling and staggering. Now let's get into, you guys are doing some good preemptive work, which is great. Let's get into the potential sadness or badness, which is, and you might have more current numbers, 60% higher rate of veterans taking their own lives if they're diagnosed with cancer. First of all, veteran suicide, and you and I know that whether it's 1, 22, 44, you pick a fucking number. One. Let's say one veteran a day. It's a horror, but it's a horrible number. But of that number, a lot of dudes and young ladies with cancer are higher to take their own lives. So what's that feel like to you guys on that side of the fence?
Well, one of the standards of care for advanced stage metastatic prostate cancer is a procedure called ADT, androgen deprivation therapy. And so prostate cancer feeds on testosterone. So I have an idea. Let's pull all the testosterone out of your body, and that stops the disease, or at least, puts it in remission. That's okay, except for the fact that what does it do to a man when you've had, in fact, it's the same class of drugs that they use for transitioning.
Oh my gosh.
And so now you have all these physiological, you have depression, you have emotional changes, you have physical changes.
Correct.
And so, it's extremely difficult on veterans that are not ready for this. All of a sudden you're put on this stuff. In fact, one of our projects we're starting, we just got funded, and it's going to kick off in San Antonio next year, is we have professionally moderated classes now in the VA that you go to before you start your treatment.
No kidding. That's a great idea.
You bring your family in, and they sit there and they talk to you all about what you're going to experience.
Yeah.
And here's the things you can eat, the kinds of exercise you can do, the kind of counseling and therapy that they're going to be providing for you to get you through this, so you're not surprised like when you start having, you will actually have physical changes. Yeah. Because you don't have any
testosterone. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's amazing how much that little substance does for you. So because of the emotional toll, besides having cancer, especially late stage cancer, now you're on something that's taking out, it's affecting your emotions. Yeah. The rates of suicide are 40 to 50% higher among people that are going through advanced cancer, any cancer for that matter, but prostate cancer specifically. Also, for a guy, in addition to having all your testosterone pulled out, prostate cancer, again, is sexual in nature. So now
it's a triple whammy.
Well, because you always you'd see in the past, like, oh, prostate cancer, that's like in your 60s and 70s.
Exactly.
I talked to a lot of guys. Slider had it at 42.
That's right.
I talked to a lot of guys that are having prostate cancer in their young 40s. And, you're still in your prime at that point for a lot of stuff. And now all of a sudden that's taken away. And if you're on this ADT stuff, it's a fantastic treatment, but there is a huge side effect to it, and it's something we need to address.
So obviously regular listeners to this know about the No Fallen Heroes Foundation and our mission objective to change veterans' lives with entheogenic psychedelic-assisted therapy. How to Change Your Mind. Great book, great series on Netflix, but you can Google this right now. Johns Hopkins did a psilocybin study, stage 4 cancer patients. One treatment of psilocybin, 85% had no fear of death anymore and higher quality of life. So talk to us about that and how the VPCA and No Fallen Heroes can maybe potentially partner and use these medicines. You and your beautiful bride, if you can share kind of your journeys and how this is a pretty good Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Absolutely. Well, the other fantastic organization that I've joined is the No Fallen Heroes. And I decided, and my wife has also decided, we took our journeys about a year ago. So about a year and a few months ago, I followed your lead and went down to Mexico to the mission within and did my journey. And, I wasn't caring.
What were the medicines?
So I did the Ibogaine and the 5-MeO, like you did.
Giddy up.
And then about 6-7 months later, Linda followed me down and did the women's retreat and did the psilocybin and the 5-MeO. Yeah. And the results for both of us have been, I would say, profound, but I don't even think that's not even strong enough. It set us both on what we call our third act. And we are going out and we are doing things that we never thought we'd do. Wow. You carry traumas through your life. Military veterans, I think, carry maybe a few more based on it stuff. But, everybody's got their traumas. Trauma's trauma, whatever it is. And it's like you keep adding rocks to a bag you're trying to drag. And I felt myself in, my late, especially going through this cancer treatment and being done with that, I just kind of felt stuck. And I just didn't, this is good enough, whatever. But I knew it wasn't. And I did that journey. And since then, it's just been like, okay, the rocks are gone and I am full speed ahead. Best physical shape of my life. Marriage is phenomenal. I mean, my little soulmate back there. And she felt the same way. She is an extremely intelligent, very high performer.
She's a rocket surgeon.
Yeah. I mean,
literally, right?
Yeah, she definitely a inspiration to me to follow. But like a lot of people like that, carried a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, had a very, very high performing job. And she did that, and I've noticed a profound change in her.
Yeah.
I mean, she is able to definitely handle this. She takes it in stride now. And
it's fine. It's always fine.
And every day,
everything's okay.
She goes out onto our porch, and I see her out there with her little meditation. She has her meditation frogs next to her little statues and stuff like that. We've adopted a lot of the life from that event. We even do our little cacao
ceremonies.
Yeah, we do that. We take it very serious and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been
so 5 years ago, Kid and Linda. Is there any way you'd think any of that would have happened?
Linda has not done anything.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't even smoke.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No weed, never tried pot or anything.
Never done anything. And I was pretty much the same way. I mean, I've been in, government service my entire life, so you just can't.
Of course.
And so for us to go do this and open ourselves up, but I noticed just when we started talking about it, things changed. That whole
thank you.
Yep, just
the second you agree to do the medicine, things start changing. I don't know if it's you give me your opinion on that. Why do you think? Because you said it did happen. It happened for me. Why would you say that?
I would say because it opens your mind up to new possibilities. It opens up your mind to, what's around you doesn't necessarily have to be what defines you. And, just being involved in this organization and in VPCA and talking to people. I mean, Linda's already talked. I mean, one personally. Linda's already talked to a couple of individuals that have gone and done the journey.
Yeah, she's putting the ladder down.
To, tremendous effect. So I think it's just you open yourself up. When you open yourself up to service to others, I think it really, I like to say I don't believe in luck, but I kind of believe in karma. And I think karma is when you open your mind up, good things happen.
Yeah.
Because
I'm telling you, man, I love it because, as you know, man, you get on an airplane. If we depressurize, put the mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else. I think once you agree, like, you know what, I'm going to try and unfornicate what I got going on, man. And you start recognizing things might have not been as bad as they were. You kind of, it's so cool to hear other people say that, hey, when I agreed to do the medicine, shit started changing. And for the better. It's not like I want to do the medicine and my life fell apart. Not one person, knock on wood, has agreed to sit with the medicine and it's gotten worse.
No.
Which is incredible. So talk us through, because I know a lot of people who listen to this who are feeling the call of the medicine maybe. Talk us through your tactics and maybe what happened with them. We love Martine and what they do with the Mission Within. Set the stage for a dude who's like you, who would sit with ibogaine, and then talk us through your 5-MeO.
Right. So I tell a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people who are interested in doing this, and I said, look, the medicine it's not the cure. It's not like an antibiotic. You take it and then just go about your day and it works.
Correct.
I said, the medicine, I look at it as like a control, delete on your soul. So you go into it, you have the preparation, and you really need to sit down and look at your life. What am I trying to accomplish? What's my intentions going into
What's
this?
the desired end state?
Exactly.
Yep.
And then you go down there, and I think what the medicine did for me, it was interesting because I went through the ibogaine, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I remember Whiz talking about this. I'm about ready to jump into warp speed. I'm going to talk to my ancestors, and this is big great. It didn't work out that way for me. What it did for me was I sat with myself, literally with myself in my thoughts, the whole night going, what exactly are you bitching about? You've got a lot of great things. You've got a good career. You've got all this advocacy work. You've got a fantastic marriage. You got a fantastic life. You've got good finances. Well, what are you bitching about? And
what's wrong with
you? The whole time I'm thinking, well, okay, I got that. Now let's go somewhere. No, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take it. And it's like, okay. And so the next day I'm like, I'm not sure I got anything from that, but we'll see. So then the 5-MeO was very interesting because, the 5-MeO is just so intense. But you're not scared. It's, first of all, the environment down there, the people down there are phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
You feel
safe. And setting.
Well, you feel safe. You feel like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to let myself go, and I'm going to let the medicine work. I know I'm okay because these people are here.
They got me.
And they got me. I'm not worried about it.
Yep.
And so the 5-MeO was kind of a reaffirmation of my ibogaine journey, and the fact that in my 5-MeO, I didn't really go anywhere, but what I envisioned was it was just Linda and I, and I had this image in my head of things coming in from the periphery that were trying to invade our space. And I sat, and the whole time I just kept flicking them away. I just concentrated on us, because I knew that's kind of where my path was. Is like all the good things. We've had problems in the past with outside influence in our relationship,
Sure.
and when we got rid of that and built the bubble around us, everything fell into place. And so that was kind of a reaffirmation of all that.
Yeah.
And so, I go away from that weekend going, and I talked to some of the guys. I said, "What did you see?" And it was all different. Even some of the counselors were like, "I've done it 6 times. I never saw anything." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to do it 6 times." But,
Exactly. Think I'm good.
Yeah, it's like, addictive nature. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Anti-addictive.
I'm like, this isn't sitting on the beach drinking margaritas. I said, this is tough.
How long were you in the medicine, would you say?
I would say probably 12 hours before I could get up and move about.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, the grade A is.
Yeah, the grade A is grade A.
Some guys were in it for quite a bit longer. I fared pretty well with it, I think.
Yeah.
About 12 hours before I ventured to try to, go to the restaurant.
It's interesting, man. So you're brilliant, right? You, Bart, Rosie, and Arrow. It's interesting to me because I'm an idiot, I think. Political science major. So mine was mine. But a lot of the folks were like, I don't think I got anything out of this. On site are the people who have the hockey stick over the next 6 months. Bart texts me all the time, like, dude, right out of the blue at like 3 a.m. I'm like, all right, Bart.
I've done that.
Yeah.
So what I realized over the next 6 months, because I went back and talked to Linda about it, and she goes, "So what do you think?" And she goes, "I do notice a little, change, but
yeah."
What I discovered over the next 6 months was I still have the memories of bad things, but I no longer have the emotional attachment to them.
Giddy up. There you go.
And it was the emotional attachment that was dragging me down and stopping me from doing things. And so, those memories are now where they need to be. They're in a book of my life on the shelf, collecting dust while I'm out here doing, VPCA.
I am present.
Heroes, going to fly the jet, all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, that's I really credit it with that one. But it really is true. It's the integration afterwards. Because you can go down there. It's like that medicine kicks down all the walls to your healing. It's like, okay, here's what it is. This is what you needed. Now,
what are you going to do
with it? Exactly. And Linda's even better than that. Oh, she's journals every day, sits out there and meditates, does all her.
She looks different, dude. She looks lighter. She looks brighter.
Well, and she's lost weight, and she's getting into shape, and she's got a new job.
I love that.
She left a job after 17 years, and she is an extremely loyal person.
Right in the middle of her integration too. It seems like she's like, you know what?
She changed jobs a month before she went to the medicine, and she came back, and now, now she's a vice president of this company. Just kicking butt.
Yeah.
She really she could not have gone back into her old self after the medicine.
No.
She goes, "I don't want to." She goes, "I'm not doing that."
That's not me.
No, not me.
Wow.
So she's doing that.
We got to get her down. We'll get, we'll have Susie and her on a pod. They'll do their own podcast because I want to get her point of view because she did psilocybin and the 5, right?
Right. And she did like the monster dose
of the 5.
Oh yeah. 12 or something like that.
Oh my God,
oh,
man.
She's like, "Nope, bring it on. Bring it on." And they're like, "You want to go again?" "Oh yeah, more."
Yeah.
And she told me, and I'm like, "Man, okay. I see who's got the cojones in the family."
Dude, that terrifies me after evaporating into energy that she, we need to get her on here to talk about hers then. So let's connect the dots. So after doing that, talk to us about how you see folks who are, struggling or going through the cancer process. Is this a potential way to help them manage what they're going through, or if they're a survivor, what would you recommend? Would you recommend the medicine to folks that you're helping with the cancer side?
Well, so a lot of our veterans, especially if you're not retired, if you're just a veteran with a disability, can seek care at the VA. From a medical side of the house, I think the VA is doing a very good job. They have really improved their standards.
That's good to hear.
We have, Congressman Dunn, Congressman up in the Panhandle of Florida, is a urologist, and he submitted a bill, and it was taken up in the last Omni bill, and it standardized prostate care across all the VAs. We have 171 VA clinics. So before, they were all kind of kingdoms unto themselves.
Yeah.
And now it's standardized, and they are going to go out to industry. And they have a task force that's going to say, okay, here's what the standard is.
Good.
Now, National Comprehensive Cancer Network, they have standards. So there's a lot of talk. I'm not directly involved in that. But from the medical side of the house, the VA has resources, they have the budget, and if you're a veteran, no matter what your demographics, you're a veteran. You get care. You get equal.
You earned it, man.
You earned it.
Yeah.
And there are studies that show that it doesn't matter if you're African American, if you're white, whatever you identify as, you're going to get the same standard of care to VA.
That's good.
Mental health,
Yeah.
I guess it's up to personal taste. Some people are okay with it. But the nice thing is the VA, I got a study sent to me from our CEO, Bing. The VA is starting to take up psilocybin in some of their clinical trials of helping vets that have either psychological issues, they have PTSD, they're dealing with other issues like cancer or traumatic injuries,
PTSD,
TBI, all that stuff. So there is a lot of interest in it, and part of the interest is it has to be remessaged. For example, LSD. In the 30s and 40s and 50s, LSD was an extremely promising anti-addictive drug.
Yeah, and to help with mental health issues.
And it is still used in some settings and very limited. But unfortunately, the 60s counterculture took care of it, for a while. Partially because, he got high and he jumped out of a building. Well, you can get drunk and jump out of a building. I mean, you can take Ambien and sleepwalk off a building.
Correct.
But
and a lot of those were made up too. Those were the war on drug bullshit. Government. It burns a hole in your brain. It's subversive. You're anti-establishment. What do you mean you don't want to go on the other side of the planet and kill North Vietnamese soldiers? You're anti-American and subversive.
Yeah, seems like we're doing that again now.
Exactly.
But
we're not doing the fighting this time.
No,
because our children are more important than other children dying in combat. Don't you know that, Whiz?
Yeah, and that's a whole other podcast.
My God, man, what a horror!
Yeah.
All right,
but to answer your question, yes, I think the VA is starting to look at this. A lot of clinics are starting to look at this. I mean, there are some extreme benefits to a very precise clinical application, and that's the key.
Yeah,
is this has to be done in a very controlled, with trained experts. And again, you can't just blister pack psilocybin, mail it to you and go, okay, take this and you'll feel better.
Correct.
I mean, it has to be, and that's the one thing I encourage people, that if they're talk to your reps and talk to them and say, look, this has tremendous benefits, but it has to be done the right way.
Correct.
It can't
Absolutely.
You need to set and setting. You at least have to have trained personnel that can help you through it.
And the integration.
You're
going I could not imagine experiencing what I experienced and just going home and not talking to anybody about it. I'm still having to unpack stuff. I still talk to our director of medicine operations, Nicole Fox, and some of the people, and my old guide, Cynthia, because there's a lot to unpack. So VA starting to wake up a little bit to it. Yep. Better late than never, because there's, the University of Texas, the Dell School of Medicine has a psychedelic branch, and they are doing a psilocybin study with Gold Star moms and spouses. And talking to some of the little birdies in the study, you should see some of the quotes from these women who have given just about all, and the healing they've received. So if this is calling out to you, we can help you. The No Fallen Heroes Foundation, obviously the VPCA if you're having the prostate cancer issues. Colorado, it's legal. Yep. Oregon, it's legal. There's a lot of major cities where this is legal. So again, don't let the stigma of the word psychedelic or any of this stuff turn you off from doing this, because it is potentially life-saving and life-changing.
Right. And like you said, this is all natural.
Yeah.
In fact, with 5-MeO, we produce that in our own body.
Yeah, we have DMT.
Yeah, DMT. So
Exactly.
It's, this is where a lot of the problems have occurred, is from the misuse. and from the, you're not supervised.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't imagine doing DMT unsupervised.
Oh, ibogaine.
Ibogaine.
You're not. I didn't get up for 12 hours. I didn't move. You're not getting up to do anything.
And you feel very, very safe. I mean, first of all, you're in a room with a nurse and a board-certified cardiologist.
You got EKG.
You got EKGs on. Before you even went in there, you had blood work. You had an EKG and all that stuff. So
you got an IV port just in case they need to. One of the guys I went with the first time we did the medicine, NFL player, he was down for a day and a half. They ran an IV just to get him some stuff. So completely safe setting, and it's a clinical setting, right? It's not. It's half. I call it half spiritual, half clinical.
Exactly.
It's like right out of Central Casting.
Oh man,
like Hollywood could not have built a better layout with those guys.
I purposely did not take any pictures or describe anything to Linda because I said I need you to go
experience it on your own,
and go, whoa. And she called me because I went to San Diego with her, and I
that's right. When she went,
she went, I went out to San Diego. And I just kind of hung out and stuff like that, and waited for her to come back and stuff like that. So when she came back, she was like, "Oh yeah, that was incredible." But
talk to us about because Susie and I when I came back, because 99.9% of Susie's trauma is whiz induced. So you come back a clean piece of paper.
Yeah.
But your wing woman, was there any? Because ours. That's why Susie decided to sit with the medicine. She's like, well, yay for you. You look perfect. Everything's great. Nice. Did you guys have any little friction or anything like that, or was she just fully like awesome for you? Or
no, I wouldn't say we had any friction, just because a lot of the stuff that I was unpacking and she was unpacking, really, we've only been together.
Yeah, it was your own stuff.
Yeah, it was our own stuff.
Yeah.
We came in, a lot of the stuff that we were unpacking was we had a difficult beginning, dating and stuff, because like I said, we had a lot of outside. We never had any issues, us. It was always outside influence. Trying to integrate now mixed families and all this other stuff. Yeah. There's always that kind of trauma, and I wouldn't say trauma, but stress. Mm-hmm. But one thing that she liked was the fact that she said, I'm not very open. I tend to get in my head. Mm. And she goes, I can tell you're sitting there, but I know you're not there. Mm. You're somewhere else. And she goes, since I've come back, I'm not like that as much. Mm. Like, I'm much more expressive. I'm much more open to her about stuff. And I would say she is the same, but she's always been, she's half Italian, half Greek. You don't really ever wonder what she's thinking. She'll let you know.
She's Gritalian.
Yes, she'll let you know.
She'll let you know.
And I've come to appreciate that because, it's like, okay, we're just going to get it out in the open. And, we don't really have fights, but, she'll get grumpy about something and she'll let me know about it. So, okay, we deal with it and then we move on.
That's better than not telling or shutting down.
Absolutely. Much better. Mm-hmm. And then it's very short-lived. We resolve it and then we move on and things are even better.
I love it.
But that was a big thing that she noticed with me was I was a lot more open, a lot more want to talk about stuff. And I said, it was a little bit of, you always have a little bit of shame about things in the past and a little bit of, I wish I'd have gone left. I wish instead of gone right and stuff like that. And then, I come back with medicine. I'm like, but all those twists and turns, I ended up here.
That's exactly where you're supposed to be.
There's no other place I'd rather be. Yeah. So, hey, maybe I made some, and that was the biggest thing I got out of the medicine was I got forgiveness for myself. Mm. It's like, hey, you did pretty good. I think a lot of people like to have your resume.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay.
It's interesting you say that because a lot of the folks that we help with the medicine, that's one of the number one takeaways is compassion for yourself first. You're usually your own worst critic, especially in fighter aviation. My God, if I suck, I'm gonna destroy me before anybody else has a chance to destroy me. Yeah. And it's that compassion for self that you can forgive yourself, which is really, really hard as type A's. We want to be our own worst critics, but we can clean it up. That's awesome. So Linda's doing good. Yep. You're doing good. The mission is fantastic at VPCA. What any other things we need to cover? Because I want to make sure we go down our checklist. Get tested. I love the
get tested,
the commercial you and
well, that was the other thing I was going to tell you about. So vpca.vet is our website. VET like veteran, and we have projects. And one of our projects that I'm also working on is a project called What's Your Number? And so we have a fantastic a media outfit, Skyline Media out in Oklahoma City. They put together this public service announcement. It's a commercial. It's about 60 seconds long. And it's just kind of a fun, tongue-in-cheek, definitely targeting the red-blooded American male.
The dudes.
About knowing your PSA number. And we have gotten a lot of traction on that. We're getting funding, and we're going to try to get out onto networks, just for, maybe during games.
Yeah.
So we're kind of targeting
football, hockey. Yeah.
And it's guys know numbers. We know our stats. We know, whatever. You walk up to a football player. What's your number?
We know our S&P 500 number.
That's right.
4,300 today might be pinning. We'll see.
Yes. But you don't know the most important number, the number that actually can save your life.
Correct.
And so that's why we're trying to get that early diagnosis. Like, hey, you got it, or if it's even rising.
Yeah. Sometimes
there's things that we can do to kind of head that off. There's a lot of the treatments. I mean, the 500-pound brains out in that industry is just. I just came back last week, and I was in Chicago for the American Society of Clinical Oncologists. Yeah, that's a
smart group of folks.
Oh boy, and tons of money. I mean, the research, the money involved in that stuff. And I mean, I'm sitting there going to these meetings, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, and I got my little phone out, going, I need to Google that word because
exactly.
That's
an SAT word.
That's a big word. But if you like me, I was a one and done. I never had chemo. I never had radiation. I never had a single drug.
Yeah.
I had the one and done surgery, and a month and a half later, I had my aviation medical certificate back.
That's huge. That was huge. Now you're flying the L-39s.
Flying the L-39.
You got checked out.
Yeah, and for the most part, 100% back. I am physically back in that regard, where I thought I'd be at this age.
That's awesome, bro. What a incredible story. And getting back to what you said a couple minutes ago, and talking about Slider. Slider had a great sentence. Hell, I think we even named that podcast after him. It was, I'm thankful for my suffering.
Right.
To hear a guy like that say that, from the weapons delivery gone wrong to the cancer, I mean, that dude has been putting in the fucking work. Yep. And for him to say that, like, I'm actually thankful for the suffering. That guy, Slider, puts a smile on my face. Was he nuts in the fleet? He strikes me as he was fucking a little.
The funny thing is, Slider was. So I was a senior 04 in that squadron. That was my department head squadron, and I think he was a fairly junior JO at the time. And so I knew him. I flew with him a few times, but I didn't.
He was staying under the radar.
Yeah, staying under the radar. Well, as much as Slider can stay under the radar. But no, great guy. I mean, everybody.
Well, in the Tomcat squadron, you probably got like 90 nutty dudes too.
Yeah, I mean, you've got
you guys were a melting pot of everything, man. The Tomcat squadrons were always fun to hang out.
Yeah, the Tomcat community was interesting.
Very eclectic.
Very eclectic. Very all over the place.
We had the Rio in 213 Bugga, big ugly American man. He was a Liberty risk. Do you remember Bugga?
Yeah. Oh my God. That was a tough. I mean, you think about it too, because I lost a lot of friends in aviation. Unfortunately, I ran for about 5 years straight with a friend or two a year.
Per year. Yep.
Some in Tomcat, some. I actually lost more in civilian aviation, but and my roommate. My roommate in my first squadron. In my third squadron, he flew into the water at night.
Oh my God!
Just a month before 9/11.
At home or over?
No, our ship relieved his ship going into the Gulf, because I was in the Persian Gulf on 9/11.
Oh, that's right.
Because I was on the Enterprise. We were the opening night Afghanistan strikes.
That's right. Yeah.
So we relieved his ship. He was heading home, and he was somewhere in the Indian Ocean, and flew into the water. I'm just like,
night.
Oh yeah, dark night.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. So I mean, after a while, and we do like what we always do in aviation. You compartmentalize it. He's like, that was dumb. Blah 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 blah. But you don't really think about the humanity of it until later.
Correct.
And then you carry that with you.
Yeah.
And then over time, you're just like,
all that shit builds up, man.
Right.
Yeah, you do, because your initial reaction as an aviator is like, fucking idiot. Of course he deserves, because you can't admit that could happen to you. I'd never be that stupid. I won't be that guy.
Right.
Until you're that guy.
And unfortunately with Tomcats, you take somebody with you in the back seat.
Exactly. So, oh my God.
But, this VPCA in a little bit of a way is helping me through that kind of stuff because I got an email a month ago from somebody that I met at an air show. I had the booth down in Sun and Fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I talked to some guy, 27-year Navy veteran, and I got talking to him. He goes, so what is all this about? And I got talking about it, and I'm like, I hand him some brochures. I'm like, I'll get checked, all right? He emailed me, said, you know what? I got checked. I have early stage prostate cancer. They think they might be able to get it.
Oh, my God, man.
And he goes, you don't realize you may have saved my life.
Wow.
Like,
that's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here.
One, even if it's one.
Even if it's one, yeah.
Oh, my God, man.
That was a nice email.
Woo, holy shit. Yeah, and then my boy Matthew and I took the L-39 out to the Miramar Air Show, and we were talking to a ton of people, man, even if it's just one. You know, and it's weird. So for Kid and I, in naval aviation, every year around your birthday, you had to go, you got your annual flight physical in the Navy. Why don't you just do it if you're a dude? My birthday is every December 31st. It's a party, but every December I do an annual. I go to my GP. They do the blood work. Why not, guys? Just put it on your calendar, man. Hey, it's my birthday month. Treat it like you're a fighter pilot. Get my annual physical, man. Just go.
Yeah, and just go down the list. I mean, you can go on to the National Institutes of Health and say, what should I be looking for?
Yeah, I'm at this age.
Yeah, A1C, testosterone.
Correct.
You'd be surprised. A testosterone imbalance.
Yeah.
You get that under control with one little pill a day, and
Correct.
your life changes.
Exactly.
You know, cholesterol, big thing with cholesterol. Every maybe 5-10 years, get the full body scan. See if you got something cooking. I mean,
I caught my Hashimoto's years ago, and they also think my thyroid, right? Again, radar and all sorts of shit like that. So I stopped my thyroid from getting worse, but that was caught in one of my annual things. And for me, you know, my dad, God love him, he dropped dead at 65, getting on a treadmill in the garage, and he was dead before he hit the ground. So for me, I still get all my PSA and everything checked, but for me, I have an extra like echocardiogram. I do the stress test and everything like that because I want to make sure this thing is good to go. So get an annual flight physical, guys, even if you ain't going flying, and have this PSA checked. Yeah. Do they have to say that, or does the doc know?
Well, and
if they do a panel,
no, it's not normally part of a panel.
Okay.
Definitely ask for it. The problem with the PSA is, again, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, it does have false positives. Any activity that you do. So if you're going to go get a PSA test about 3 days prior, no sexual activity, don't get on a bicycle, don't do anything that kind of stresses that lower
area. Okay.
Because the prostate, when it's under any kind of stress, it'll release these prostatic-specific antigens.
Okay.
And so it can cause a little bit of a rise in your PSA. Now, what they'll normally do is, if you have a high one, they'll have you come back. They'll tell you all that.
They'll tell you not to do all that.
They'll come back in a couple of weeks, get another one. And then if it's still high, then you'll continue on with whatever the urologist recommends. But it was normally, they're like, oh, well, prostate cancer is a slow growing cancer. Don't worry about it to your 70s or something like that. And I'm like, no,
you're case in point.
I talked to one of the top urologists in the country. I mean, this guy literally wrote the book on prostate. And I said, would you say that a large percentage of late stage, like bone cancer, bladder cancer, all the cancers that kill you later, if you'd have backed up 10 years, it might have been prostate cancer? And he goes, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Really?
And if you'd have backed up another few years and caught it early and had it removed,
you
never would have had an issue with it.
Wow. Okay.
So the VPCA recommendation is starting at age 40. If you're a veteran, starting at age 40, start getting your PSAs. And if you have a urologist or anybody that gives you static about it, like, oh, they're not accurate, go to vpca.vet.
And
you email me, and I'll have some of the top oncologist and urologist in the country contact your office and say, no. It's a simple blood. The blood test literally costs 70 cents to conduct. Exactly. Now, insurance is $150, I'm sure. But TRICARE, the VA will do it for free. TRICARE covers it. Most insurance companies will cover a PSA test.
That's insane, man. Get it done. It's a life-saving thing. And remember, folks, it's called practicing medicine. So if a doctor does say, oh, you don't need that shit, he's practicing.
He's practicing,
He's not executing medicine. He's practicing medicine.
Right.
So.
I mean, you don't wait till your engine falls out of your car before you go check the oil. So just make sure. And again, 40, if you have a family history of it, African Americans have higher incidences of it. Not quite sure why, but we did find out the interesting study in the VA, though, is we're trying to determine if it's genetics or if it's access to care. And based on a VA study that I saw over this last weekend, it looks like it's access to care.
Okay. Oh.
Because in the VA, there's no appreciable difference between the diagnosis and outcomes of cancers among all the groups. Because, again, we're all veterans.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
we're all the same color, technically, green.
Exactly.
We all bleed red.
It doesn't matter. And, you know, we're here to... If you identify with a prostate, we are here to help you. That's our new tagline.
Very well said, Kate.
That's our new tagline. So
Bing's going to be very proud of that tagline right there.
Yeah, so I came up with that last week, and
I love it.
Because we've been getting those questions, believe it or not.
Okay, well, I can believe it. So most important question is, when are you taking Linda flying in the L-39? Because I had to take her. So Kid, for those of you who don't know, Kid's he's a very good options trader, Whiz trained, and he's a lifetime member. And I made an offer. I'm like, hey, man, if you're in lifetime, I'll take you flying in the jet. So the dude's got some time in a fighter jet, so that would have been boring to him. But so I took his bride flying in at Sun and Fun. Dude, G-Monster.
Oh, yeah.
I did not... And she flew. So I put her through the paces, and I was like, all right, man. And I wasn't in the mood. I was actually trying to impress her, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a little too much G'd right now. So she was doing better. I'm like, okay, it's early. Come on, man. I thought she'd tap out, but she did great. But now that you got your type rating, you got to take your bride flying, right?
I just need access to one of those little beautiful machines. And
I think I can hook you up with that.
But the nice thing about it is she liked it so much, she's a little bit more warm to the idea of like, we could get one of these in our... I formed an LLC to do these for not only for No Fallen Heroes, but to fly it for VPCA, because we have a lot of interest in that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if we just, kind of threw one in the LLC? And she kind of looked at me and then walked away. But I didn't get a no.
She needs more medicine.
But I didn't get a no.
So you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
Dude, let's talk, man. We could. We'll have the VPCA No Fallen Heroes flight demonstration team, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the country. I mean, I got a couple buddies who do a two-ship L-39. Maybe we make a diamond. See, now we're cooking, man.
Now we're cooking.
Because, as you know, what is it? The number one watched sport in the world is NASCAR, and number two is air shows.
Yep.
There ain't no better billboard than, what's your number? What's your number barrel roll? Flight demonstration team. So
all right, paint that down the side of the airplane. What's your number?
Let's look into that, man. Actually, that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go take a look at the jet. We're going to go down there to Pompano. If VPCA or No Fallen Heroes appeals to you or our mission and you want to support us, please reach out. And if you give us a little... Who's your daddy? Maybe we'll take you flying in the jet, and we'll even do a dogfight. Kid, we got to go out and bend it out. You and me, man.
That's right.
You do need to go get your own jet.
I sat in that jet. With
Although I've beat up on so many Tomcat guys in my life, it's just not even fun anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a big airplane.
The flying tennis court.
The flying tennis court. But then again, we didn't get as much ACM time air combat time as we wanted. We also didn't get a lot of tanking time because the Hornets were always all over the tanker. They never had any gas, and we had more than we knew what to do with. So. Tanker posit.
But folks, so this is great. Kid, thanks for coming. I'd like to extend an invitation to your beautiful bride. I'd love Susie and her to talk about the medicine work as well, because she just looks like we talked about. She just, your wife's great, and she was always bubbly, but she's bubblier, and she's just a different person. And the fact that she's going to go get her instructor rating, it sounds like, would be great. We'd love to have her. I'll have her talk to Nicole and Susie, because we're going to, as the foundation grows and our efforts between our organizations grow. But like you said earlier, you and I don't want this job. I don't want to know Fallen Heroes. You guys don't want that. The Kid and I actually want to work ourselves out of our jobs, which would be fantastic. Mission success is we don't exist anymore. But unfortunately, until those days come, we're here. So you all are doing a good mission. If people have any questions, how do they get a hold of you or Bing, or how do we reach out to you?
Yeah, so vpca.vet is our website. And if you want to get a hold of me, it's chris.provan@vpc.vet. And if you have any questions whatsoever about prostate cancer, my journey, any of that kind of stuff, I'm an open book. I'm here to help. Please contact me, and I will get you in touch with whoever you need. If you have a specific medical question, we have a phenomenal. We actually have a medical board of directors. Yeah, and these are some of the top oncologists in the world. Yeah, and they love to help.
Love meeting your team out in San Diego. Great group of folks aligned with the mission. They're all survivors, and we're aligned, man. So honored to be flying formation with you guys to save and change lives. This is no more nobler purpose or calling. So, folks, Kid and I are going to get some chow. Go look at our jet and maybe how we can decal it up with some VPCA stuff as well. And I'm out, man. Panthers. Game 3 last night, they won in overtime, which was incredible. We got Game 4 tomorrow night against the Knights. Just an incredible season. Love what's going on with the Panthers. And we had the Makos in our suite last night after their flyby. Of course, I had to give them shit. I asked if all 3 of them had squawks because they were little. They weren't Navy standard kids, so I gave them, of course, a little bit of grief. But all right, folks, incredible podcast, Kid. Thanks for coming, man. Looking forward to seeing your bride on a podcast down the road. And that's all we got, folks. So have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Fights on. Namaste. And basi basi.